This is the Quite Frankly podcast because life is weird and we have thoughts.
This is Joanne, and that's my sister Danielle.
Hi. And guess what? Today we're going to talk about an existential crisis. Joanne, do you know what an existential crisis is?
I'm panicking because
Maybe that's it. Okay, I'm going to read you a definition. I'm going to read you the definition, okay?
Okay.
An existential crisis is a period of deep questioning and reflection about the fundamental nature of one's life, purpose, and existence, often triggered by major life events or transitions, and can involve grappling with concepts like meaning, identity, and mortality. So, have you ever gone through that?
So it's interesting that you mention it. You gave me the definition, and the reason I panicked is because I feel like I did have an existential crisis, and then I thought, I know she has the definition, and
Maybe it doesn't fit into the definition.
and I panicked. But hearing you say it, I went, oh yeah, no, I was having an existential crisis. The only thing is I can't say it was triggered by anything. I'm unaware of it being triggered by anything. I just woke up one morning.
You were saying that it had to be with death, right?
Yeah. My death, not somebody else's. I'm very self-absorbed, Danielle.
No. But
No, it wasn't after Dad's death.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think it was. Was it? No, it was before Dad died, actually.
Oh, interesting.
When did he die?
2018. 2018, because
yeah.
it was the end of the year and his funeral was on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And that was into 2019.
Yeah, mine was, and mine was, it's like going through menopause. It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. If you haven't had it, it's coming. And I still have them every once in a while. I should put it that way, too. All right, so go ahead.
There's specific triggers that typically have it happen. And I do feel as though a lot of what's going on in the world is probably going to trigger a lot of people, like major life events, right? So we're talking about career changes.
Now, see, to me, I'm just clarifying. Existential crisis is a little bit like a panic attack, but they're different. Some people could be having a panic attack right now about...
Right. But existential crisis, I feel like it has a lot more to do with identity, and it feels like what your self-worth is attached to, and suddenly questioning the things that you were doing and questioning deeper than just one singular thing, right? So when we're saying like there's a major life event and we say like a career change, I know, and this happens to a lot of people that are very like workaholic and very committed to their jobs, that when that ends, you suddenly are like, who the hell am I? Because they have put so much of their self-worth and their identity into their job. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And actually, it was probably around the time both my kids were off to college, or one was about to go off to college. I don't know if that was the trigger. I don't recall thinking that. I just remember waking up and thinking, I'm going to die.
Well, I mean, significant life transitions is one of the triggers for it. And I would definitely say empty nester syndrome, so to speak, is definitely one of them.
Right. And that could be it. But it was more of my obsession with death. What was it? Read the definition. I'm going to cut you off on the different things that the characteristics.
Let me see. It's a deep questioning and reflection about the fundamental natures of one's life, purpose, and existence, often triggered by major life events or transitions.
Which is part of the death thing. I'm going to die. I'm not going to do everything I needed to do. Wait a second. Do I really need to do anything? And then it's like, what is the purpose of anything? But I have to do something, but I don't know. It was circular. It's
really grappling with those concepts, Did
you
like
have
meaning,
that?
Identity, mortality, all of those things. I mean, weirdly enough for me, because I could definitely say I went through an existential crisis this past year, and I feel like I'm on the tail end of it. But I feel as though there were so many different life events in the past year for me. Death, job change, relationship change. There were so many different
Death.
pieces that friendships, relationships ending, like a lot of different things happened in this past year that starts to make you go like, who am I anymore? Because you invest so much into it only for it to be stripped away and peeled back and taken away. Then what are you left with when this is what you identified yourself with? Mm-hmm. And I do think that, especially with the way corporate world has been for a while, there are a lot of people that have been working their butts off and had to commit their lives to it so heavily, as opposed to, like, say, our dad's time. I mean, he worked very hard, but there was a definite separation.
I would also argue, because where I live, it's a lot of federal workers. It's not just corporations.
Oh, well, yeah. I say corporations, but in all honesty, I think it's kind of across the board now. I just exited
because
a
even
corporation
teachers are technically not working for a corporation.
Yeah, and the teachers are having more and more of their free time. I mean, they always did to a certain degree, but more and more of their free time encroached upon, and having to commit to things that they never agreed
Anyone
to.
who's doing something for a career.
Right, right.
They're not
and
just
identify
doing it for a
themselves to it.
Yeah.
And of course, facing mortality, whenever there's a health crisis or someone passes away, that's another trigger for an existential crisis. And then
what's the next characteristic on the
Well, I was going to say the last thing for a trigger is feeling unfulfilled or stuck. So even when you're in a situation where you just feel like you're not fulfilled.
That I think I relate to more. I mean, the kids were going off to school. I was fine with that. And I don't recall that questioned my identity. But I think it was more of, okay, where do I go from here? And that was because a lot of what I thought in my 20s did not happen.
Yeah.
Things change. And I had accepted it, but now I got to a point where, okay, now what? But I was still worried about death. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Julia, stop thinking of this. And you're making dinner and you're thinking, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. It's
wow.
It was deafening.
The funny thing
and
is,
it went on for months.
Death is not really something that I've gotten. That was not, like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think it might have been a combination of an existential crisis, because the existential exist is in the word of existential, is you realize, well, there's the why am I existing here? And there was that, but there was also I'm not going to exist.
Yeah.
I think in my case.
Well, I think for me is not so much that I wasn't going to exist. It was more like I understood I'm existing here for a reason. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly thinking, oh, what I thought was my reason was ripped away from me. And then when you really look at it, you go, oh, was it really that?
Oh, interesting.
Is it really that was that really it? Like, I don't think that was it. I think it was more than that. And then realizing that you're on this planet, like, at least, I mean, I actually do think maybe reincarnation is a thing, but I can't be guaranteed that. Thank you very much. So I do feel like, at least in this consciousness, I am here but one time. So I better make it good. And then you start to panic, like, but I don't know.
Yes.
And it's like the people that you had connections with, like mom passed away this past year. I had friends that I lost from work, just fell away. I had a few different things happen that suddenly, like, was making me, like, even old fears that I had. Mm-hmm. Won't get too far into it, but when my ex-husband passed away this summer, suddenly those old fears were alleviated. It's not a part of me because I don't have to worry about it anymore. And suddenly you're like, okay, well, now that I don't have that holding me back, what do I do? You
just made it sound like you killed your husband.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say. No, I did not. No, I hadn't seen him in 4 years.
She didn't. You have motivation now, It wasn't that big. I know what they were. She
You are
didn't kill
so
him. He was
funny.
in another state.
You are so bad. But yeah, for 4 years I hadn't heard from him. So yeah, or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But the point is that you start to question things. And now what
Okay,
I would
so
say is no, go ahead.
the going back to purpose, I have for years called myself the girl with no purpose. I always thought that would be a great title for a book. And so there came a point where it's like, okay, I think I need a purpose, because if you look at everything about people living a long healthy life, they say having purpose is one of the reasons of having these long healthy lives. So I was like, oh, I got to look into this then. I can't go as a person with no purpose. And that's where I found, I think I mentioned Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone Dubois. They were married. She kept her name. They didn't have children. They were both French, but they believe their idea of existentialism. This is not what got me out of my existential crisis, but this is a recent thing about purpose. And they say you choose your purpose. It's not given to you. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And if you take that, it puts the power in you to create your own purpose, which is kind of nice. It's kind of nice, but I can see where it's very scary for some people.
Oh yeah. Definitely. For me it was just kind of like see, and that's the thing. I turned to spiritualism, which I always was kind of there. But
Philosophy is a kind of spiritualism, I think.
definitely. And I feel as though if I'm able to quiet the mind, have more mindfulness, that I'll be able to kind of connect with something, but it was still really complicated. Probably because we were grieving. It was hard. We were going through a lot of stuff. But basically, I mean that like a lot of the key questions that like people are grappling with is often stuff like, what is my role in the world? Who am I? What is my purpose? Like, what is the meaning of life? The thing that I think is individual to every person. But
Well,
there
what
are
was
what's
the
that?
next character? I'm curious what was the next characteristic.
Symptoms.
Oh, no, of the definition. We could go to the symptoms in a
Oh,
sec.
with the
I'm just curious.
definition.
There was
I
something
mean,
else that triggered. I went, oh, yeah, that too.
nature of one's life, purpose, and existence, often
Right.
triggered by major life events or transitions, and can involve grappling with concepts like meaning, identity, and mortality.
Well, mortality was definitely for me. Meaning came because I was in my case, because I'm going to die, I have to do something of meaning, and then I'm going to die. You got to do something.
See, this
There's
makes,
a deadline, Danielle.
can I tell you, I feel that to my core. Like, damn it.
So I think mine was also a combination of midlife crisis and existential crisis.
See, for me, I was having a hard time grappling with the fact that I felt like I'm not going to say wasted, but I was not participating in life in the way that I think I always envisioned. And then, now it's like, I don't want anything to stand in my way. Like, to quote Auntie Mame, life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving to death. And I refuse to starve. Let me
That's my
eat it
favorite quote.
all. I want to inhale it. But in the same breath, I've come to realize I was doing that for the past 10 years. And don't get me wrong, so much growth, so many different life experiences I wouldn't trade for the world. However, in some ways, it was like mindless eating. It was not really, it was kind of just eating whatever was there. And that,
Yep.
in a sense, I get it. But now I want to make my diet a little bit more, nutritious for my soul.
I like that. I love that analogy. That was a very good analogy.
So thank you. Thank you very much. But I've been trying to grasp that whole concept for a while. But there's a lot of symptoms that come along with it. And I do feel like there was a little while that I was questioning, am I actually having an existential crisis? Or is this just sadness from mom's passing? Is this just sadness from X, Y, and Z? But like some of the different symptoms that like are listed are like anxiety and dread, which let's face it, I think in the world right now, you're going to find a lot of that. So don't freak out yet. Depression and despair, lack of motivation and energy, self doubt and low esteem, self esteem, and questioning one's identity and
I
purpose.
personally think women in general tend to have those.
Well, I think our generation, some older generations, a lot of us were kind of raised to be homemakers, and I think there are some people nowadays, but not as many options were given to us even as children. But in the same breath, the ones that were given options, there was still certain expectation that you know this is what your role should be, and
Do you
that's kind of
remember a lot of ladies, girls, and when we were growing up, their biggest goal was the wedding? Not even the marriage, it was the wedding.
oh yeah.
That was crazy.
I remember
never
having a
understood
friend that was drawing pictures. We were probably in fourth or fifth grade, and she was drawing pictures, and it was of her dream wedding. And she goes, "Oh, you should draw your dream wedding." And I go, "I never dreamed about a
What?
wedding. Like I didn't understand. Why would
This
you
is
dream about a wedding?"
why I think mom did a good job. Because I think dad would have had us if he raised us. I mean, you know, my dad was involved, but my mom did the more day to day. There's some things that mom drove me nuts about when I look back. But that was one thing she kind of raised us free range, pasture raised.
Much like most of the Gen X population, but
Yeah,
I think
that's true. I should
she
say pasture raised.
also like opened us up to a lot of different
She didn't,
concepts and ideas that I think most people didn't.
and she didn't put, you have to do this, you have to do that. There was no, we had to do anything other than you gotta, actually, their idea was you had to graduate from high school to get a job. Today, you need, I mean, if you want a good paying job, you need college. But I don't know. Some people are arguing that. That's another.
I mean, I had a great paying
Issue.
job and I did not have a college education.
You did need a certification.
As a hairdresser. Yeah.
And you worked your butt off.
Oh, I
the
did.
hairdressing didn't work. You worked your butt off particularly, and I want people to understand you networked.
Yeah.
And you played it
networked,
hard.
and I actually did study the amount of books I read just so I understood the people the rooms that I was in.
Yeah.
Like to understand, I may not have contributed to some of those rooms that I was lucky enough to be in. But I read a lot of books so I can understand. And that was a gift in and of itself.
You were strategic and got to know the people you needed to know. And I say that because I don't think everyone understands that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of that was also luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just luck being
I
at
could
the right
see
place
it.
at the right.
But I mean,
But I
that's-
also believe we
luck
make
is
our
with
own
everything.
luck, and that's by preparation and being a certain way and having a certain mindset. If you don't have that mindset, you can bump into them and not have the luck because you're not in that mindset, you know, that makes them want to open doors for you. So, but at any rate, let's get back to an existential crisis, Joanne.
Sorry.
So we want to talk a little bit about coping strategies, and you know there are the tried and true things, but I think that also I think we can talk a little bit about our personal experiences and things that we've been doing. I know I go to a lot of therapy. I laugh, but my therapist is the most amazing woman in the whole entire planet. Like in all honesty, and I want to be clear. I have a lot of respect for therapists, but I do know that just because you find a therapist does not mean they are right for you. Like, do your research. I definitely was looking for someone that was trained in several different modalities, knowing that I'm a stubborn woman. And if one modality does not work on me, she's going to have to like change gears and try something new. So she was in multitude of modalities so that way she can best adjust to what was going to work for me, because what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. So definitely do your research and find out what, their specialties are. We can always get into more deeply of what to look for in a different pod, but it's important to do your research.
You could, but I will not be of any help.
Are you?
I went to a therapist once. The end. I went to maybe 6 sessions, and that was it. I'm cured!
She's like, I'm cured.
I didn't need much.
She's like, I'm like an A student.
Yeah.
And Danielle's remedial.
I gotta tell you though, you sometimes, I know you don't go into deep with, but you say some things. I talked to the therapist about this, and it's a childhood thing, and the therapist said that, and I was like, really? And then you would explain why, and I went, oh my god, I think I need to go. It's like, that explains so much.
Like, I didn't realize that my behavior was like from X, Y, and Z. Yeah. That when we really researched it, Joanne's like, I'm having an existential crisis.
But, it wasn't for some of the other stuff, some weird behaviors that I have. It explains. Like, oh, I do that too.
I think for me, and had traumas that were unrelated to our family that needed to be resolved and needed to be healed and needed to be navigated through. But also, and it was funny because I had taken a hiatus from her for a while, and then Mom died. I still didn't feel like I needed to go back to her because we had the beautiful chance to say our goodbyes and whatnot. But it wasn't until my ex-husband passed away that, unfortunately,
oh, sorry, that's sad.
I was like, I might need to check in with my therapist because it was drumming up a lot of things in me that I didn't really want to recall. So, like, therapists are very handy.
Your cat died. And
oh yeah, my cat died the next day too. It was a lot, and I was like trying to save that cat for probably a good 7 months.
It died at the right time, but that's another therapy session.
I think.
Sorry,
we were all very sad, but I do think another.
Do you know my dog died about a month after Dad died?
Really?
Isn't that funny? Not even. I think it was a couple of weeks.
Because like Ziggy was about a month after Mom too.
Okay.
Which is kind of crazy.
They
kind of gives you that.
To take our pets with them.
Well,
my dog was quite old.
When I talked to Matilda the medium, she had one of the first things she says, "Oh, is your mom a cat lady?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Well, she's petting this white cat."
Oh.
I'm like, "That's Ziggy." Ziggy Stardust, and calling it Putty Cat. Which is how Mom always called cats.
Yes, she did.
Oh, the Putty Cat.
She did, didn't she?
Yeah.
Dad did too, I think.
Yeah, I think he did too.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think the other part was engage in introspection and reflection. So I want to know, what is your opinion on journaling, and did you ever utilize that during that time?
Actually, as you were talking about your therapist, I was thinking my cheap therapy was journaling. So, and it's funny, I journaled for a year. I put up a video on my YouTube channel about journaling. It was actually how to get out of the blues. And it's actually a therapy way of dealing with thing called bibliotherapy, I think. Mm-hmm. And now I hear everyone talking about journaling. But I spent a year journaling, and this wasn't for the existential crisis. This was just me journaling 3 pages a day. I want to say without fail. I might have missed a day or two, but it was every day for a year, and it was helpful. I had a lot of aha moments, a lot of, and you flip back on things. You can see trends. And you go, oh, I didn't know that was bugging me that much. I better do something about it. So there was a lot of insightful things with journaling. I highly recommend it.
I often had a hard time with
I
journaling.
call it cheap therapy, by the
Oh,
way.
cheap therapy is like, yeah, I mean, it is. The funny thing is, I probably have dozens and dozens of journals,
Uh-huh.
and I tend to like forget which one I wrote in, and then I start writing in a new one, and it's just like a horrible cycle. But that's the point. So, I found that I like to list things better than writing for whatever
Interesting.
reason. So I definitely would start my morning with like a list of gratitude, which
Oh,
I know a lot of people go like, oh, it's toxic positivity. I'm sorry. If I start
toxic positive. No,
positivity,
there's studies that show
yeah,
that gratitude actually helps. I
it,
mean, scientific studies.
like if you start it first
I'm
thing
not
in the
very good with
morning,
it, but yeah.
yeah, and I do find writing is okay. I believe it or not, saying it out loud
Oh,
actually made me feel it more. And I don't know why. I'm sure everybody's different. I think some people can think it, whatever. But like, I happen to notice when I would say it out loud, for whatever reason, I would have a little bit of a shift in my mood that day. And a better perspective. And I also found with journaling, especially if it was, I journaled my dreams.
I can't journal my dreams. I used to. It's too much writing. My dreams are very vivid and very.
They sometimes really were disjointed. Sometimes I would even record. I press record
No,
on
mine
my
was never
record notes.
disjointed. They're crazy, but never
Well, they're
I
crazy.
understood them. Sometimes it took me a moment to think about them and go, "Oh, this is why I'm dreaming about them." The
A lot of
beautiful
times I
thing
feel
about
like
dreams,
I often feel like it has a reflection of like what I was thinking,
right?
especially if I had a bad night's sleep.
Right.
It helped me because sometimes it was just about sorting out all that crap that's going on in my brain. So, okay,
I
the
don't
other
really
is
remember my dreams anymore.
focusing on your values and goals, and that is going back to lists for me. Goals I have a
Yep.
hard time with because
I love
sometimes
goals.
I used to be great at them, but except when you're
I
having
do.
an
Here's
existential
another.
crisis, suddenly like, what's the point of any of them? Like,
That's true. That's true. I will tell you this, and just real quick about therapy too. I'm Weight Watchers. No, I don't need a lot to lose. It's still a stubborn 10 pounds that is just not coming off. But you want to talk cheap therapy? I love those workshops, online workshops.
and
They
I'm
don't
sure there's
just do the
lots.
weekly one. They do goal getters. They do, I can't even think of, rise and reset. So you reset for the day. And I love them.
I don't do as well with them. I tried once, but it just.
Once.
Oh no,
Once,
I've tried
maybe?
Weight Watchers many, many times throughout my life,
Uh,
but the ones that are online, I did that once,
when
and it
did you
was.
try it?
I don't even remember. I
Because
don't even
when they
remember.
first started out, which was around COVID, they really pushed it. They sucked. But I went on to it recently because I missed my in person one. And it was really good. And what I did for a week is I tried out all these different coaches and I wrote down. Funny enough, the coach that I finally, settled on and I really like her, she lives in in my I'm in Northern Virginia. She's in Maryland. Let's put it that way. And yeah, we sync. Yeah.
Well, I found that, like I said, I like making lists and writing out my values actually was surprising. Like it actually grounded me a little bit, and you wouldn't think it
What are
would.
your values?
I mean, my core values is everything from loving people to being honest. Uh, my
But
core value is
how
not
does that
putting.
help?
I know it sounds funny.
Wait, that helps you get you out of your existential crisis.
I think it helps because if you think about it, like let's talk about like say when I lost my job, right? And I put everything into that job. And it was changing over the years. I'm not going to get into it because I signed an NDA, but it was changing over the course of the last few years that I was there. And I felt as though the things that were the most important to me, the things that brought me joy in that job were slowly but surely, very slowly being leached away until I was doing a job that I thought was so aligned with my values, so aligned with the things that gave me joy, but I couldn't understand why is it not working? It's because it wasn't really aligned with my values anymore. And so when I was able to list out what my values really were and then realize, oh gosh, that really wasn't fulfilling it anymore, which happens. I think that that's important for people to understand, but it does when you're questioning yourself. Like I said, I put my heart and soul into my job. So it felt as though when that ended, like the fudge, like, like, man, okay, so I know I'm more than that, but what am I?
And going back to, you finding a job and stuff, you worked to get that job.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah.
And to be honest with you, social media plays a part in that too, because I was a very public facing person for the company, that suddenly your whole persona online and what people know you for is attached to it, which is another piece of the puzzle of why I eliminated a lot of my social media, because I didn't want that. I'm more than that. So yeah, I think writing down your values actually can be really important. And the next thing that is suggested, which I think you have talked about, like, okay, all right, so I'll just say what it is because I know what you're going to say. It's connect with others, make new friends. It's like that old song, make new friends and keep the old ones. One is silver and the other's gold.
Yeah. That's a brownie song.
Is it? I don't know. I wasn't in the brownies. But
in the brownies.
but the point is to connect with community, connect with people that have maybe going through the same thing, or can relate, or just are living their best life. And it's wonderful to be around someone that is really living to their purpose. It kind of will inspire you to feel like it's possible. But I know you were saying, like, I don't want to meet anybody. But in essence, you're talking about Weight Watchers, and there's a community on that. So that's
well, I do it online. I don't talk to people.
She's like, I don't want to talk to people. Joanne, you gotta connect to people.
All right. I clearly talk to people. They're everywhere. But you can't not. But then, I married one of them. And I made two of them.
But, like, here's the thing. I'm laughing about it, right? And people would say I'm a social butterfly. People will say I'm very sociable and everything like that. But the truth is that I'm actually very introverted, in the sense that it takes a lot for me to go out and talk to people. If they come up to me, I'm very easy and hi, whatever. But, like, it's very hard for me. I don't know if that's social anxiety. It's got to be something, but I'm, whatever. But lazy. You, on the other hand, as much as you kid around about being antisocial, you were in so many different organizations throughout our adult life, like even just the 4-H. And I know you did it for the kids, but like you did karate. That's joining something.
For the kids.
Yeah. Okay.
And the ability to kill someone. I don't know why you think this is social.
Fair. You could I was reading yourself, like, hey, how you doing?
I was reading Sociopath, a memoir. It's interesting. It's getting a little boring. I mean, she doesn't have feelings for things, and it's always like that.
But you started even like writing groups and stuff like that. Like, it's not like you were completely detached in that regard, or even like Broadcast Sunny. That's been around for a long time, and I know it's you creating stuff, but there are, I'm sure, people that are regularly coming in there and like whatever.
The only one I could say that I joined a group and became somewhat enmeshed in is the League of Women Voters.
Okay.
As an adult and not having anything to do with the children.
Fair.
Broadcast Sunny didn't mean to say the name, but the YouTube channel just happened. And the way the landscape has changed on social media, it's not surviving because it's not a niche. It's a little bit of everything. So it was doing well, and like I said, then everybody, it just, anyway, that just sort of happened. Yeah, so I would say the League of Women Voters, and we all did come together because we all liked it.
There you go.
Is that the last coping
Well,
mechanism?
the last one is embracing the unknown, which is recognize that life is full of
Okay.
uncertainty. And I have to say that
Because I was
one
thinking,
sucks
did it
ass.
come up with mine yet? Because they haven't.
Ooh, because I was going to say that one, like embracing the suck, so to speak, or embracing like
Mine was
uncertainty.
reading a book. Now, so I read a book by Anita Mojani. I forgot to look up the name. Dying to be me. I've just figured it out. If it's dying
Hot
to be
dog.
me,
I'll look it up to make sure.
Anita Morjani, she had a near-death experience, and she talks about what happened in this near-death experience. And not to get into religion or anything, I'm trying not to get into religion, but
Religion or politics?
well,
Or
it's not
sex.
politics even, but it I think gave me a grasp that and a belief. She could have been lying. Yes, I know that. For those of you who are doubters, that's fine. I recognize that. But it gave me a thread to pull myself out of this hole, to believe that there was life after death and that we are here. And I think in essence it comes to we are here for a reason. Whether there's a purpose or not, I don't know. That is still in question in my opinion. I do like the idea you make your own purpose, and that's what I have been trying to do these since Mom had passed, because that affected me in such a way. I will also mention the other thing that I'm concerned with, and I still have these every once in a while, is I turned 55, and that's considered senior in some cases. Like you can go to senior living or adult living places, and there's a senior center here for 55 and over. And I went over there to check it out just to see what it's like. I have a couple of friends who go to one and they love it. And yes, they are older than me. But so I went, and I'm looking at all these people, and I think I know I said this to you, is it feels like the waiting room for death.
Yeah.
We're going to hang out here. And I had a minor panic attack then. And I was like, no, this is not you. I did not see myself in these people. So I was ready to detach. I mean, I was able to detach myself from that. I think more along the lines of I can kick that down the bucket, down the line. I'll have that problem in hopefully 20 years, 30
Yeah.
years. And then I will be in that waiting room. But for now.
I would say the only things that I did
But the
not
book helped a lot for me.
didn't
It's
see on
just
the list.
to come out.
I think in relation to the book that you were saying,
Yeah.
spiritualism, I do think
Yeah.
being connected to source and feeling
Yeah.
as though you're
Yeah.
with the oneness and everything, I think that is something that they didn't, I don't personally think, dove as deeply into it. I feel like walking in nature is
Yeah.
been very
Connection to
healing for
nature.
me. And it sounds almost like, give me a break. But like when my thoughts are getting overwhelming or anything like that, like I sometimes will just go out and look at colors and even count how many colors I can find. And I'm not just talking like green. I'm talking like different shades of green. Different
Okay,
shades
so
of
one
blue.
of the things they teach you in Weight Watchers was this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method.
Oh yes, that's an
You know it.
anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It sounds similar to that.
that was just something I was naturally doing. Whenever I feel as though I'm overwhelmed, I colors, for some reason, looking at colors makes sense to me. If you saw my outfit, you would understand. But it
I'm
What?
looking. So
Oh, God.
she's got a
No,
lot
look
of
at this
pink,
skirt.
and I got a lot of browns,
My skirt. I got it at a
beige.
thrift shop today. Um, Anyways, it has a jacket with it, Joanne. Can you imagine if I was wearing the whole ensemble? It would be amazing. But no,
We should go to
looking
Paris together. But
the
anyway, go
point
ahead.
of the looking at colors and everything is not so much just to bring down the anxiety, but it is distracting you from thinking about the future, thinking about the past, and keeping you very, very much in the
That's the
moment.
5 4 3 2 1.
Yeah, it's a
Just for those of
mindfulness.
you who don't know, what you do is if you're having a panic attack and you need to calm down quickly, you count 5 things that you can hear, and you can say what they are, and then it's 4 things you can touch, or it's probably 5 things you can see. That's probably it. And then 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 2 things and 1 thing you could taste.
Taste.
Although they do say, my coach said, you may not get all of them. Like smell, she usually just does 1 thing and not the 2 because you don't always smell. But it's to get you out of your head and put you in the moment.
Right.
So I feel like we should clarify that. But
No, that's
it's-
and then maybe we can find a website and put it in the description for a
that's a
link,
good
because
idea,
that would
yeah.
be a really great idea. But I feel
yeah,
like,
I gotta say, Weight Watchers also teach you other stress techniques.
because I was gonna say our therapist gave us that tip, and my therapist, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's too many things to remember.
And I pay $22 a month
There you go.
for as many meetings as I want.
There you go. I bet your app doesn't have the great Italian accent that my therapist does.
New.
Whatever. But what I was gonna say is those are like the big things for me is the what I feel as though is kind of lacking from that list. But is there anything else that you can think of that you want to add to it?
I'm a big national parks person.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I think I think
I
being
love the
connected to nature in any way, shape, or form is always going to be grounding in some way, shape, or form. I will say this when it comes to whether it be an existential crisis, depression, whatever it may be, sometimes, actually, I think almost all the time, there's no way over it. There's no way around it. There's no way under it. You got to go through it. So it's.
Yeah. I do think everyone will have one.
And I feel as though it is kind of like I always associate it to like a phoenix. Sometimes you got to burn to the ashes in order to be reborn. There's usually something beautiful that comes out on the other side if you are really, really mindful of it.
My
and you're-
beige shirt!
Well, look at that. Okay.
I love this shirt. I've actually had this shirt for like 30 years.
It's
So,
adorable.
I didn't
But-
think to wear nice today. I'll try to pick
I'm
out
just wearing a sweater
colors
and a
that
tank
pop.
top. The skirt. No one's going to see the
pretty.
skirt. The skirt was just like,
Fuchsia and pink.
but
All right, I'm sorry.
But what I was going to say is, someone used an analogy not long ago. I think it was on. I mentioned it before, the Next Level Soul podcast, which I love. The gentleman that hosted it was talking about how sometimes when you're going through these things, and even spiritualism and what even the world is going through in some ways, it's like having a baby. Now, of course, hearing a guy using the baby analogy at first made me go like, what? And then he says, okay, it's like me watching someone have a baby, and I never had seen it or heard of it before. Never knew this is what a person goes through. And when you're watching it, it looks like so much pain and agony, and it's horrible. And you're like, oh my God, I got to stop it. But in the end, it's a natural process, the pain and everything like that. And that there's this beautiful baby that's born at the end. Now, granted,
And
I
to add to
personally
that-
like epidurals.
Oh. Your body also, after the baby is born, your body produces, I think it's oxytocin, and makes you happy as a parent. So,
Well, sometimes. Not everybody.
oh, it didn't happen to you?
I don't think it happens for everybody. I think there's some people that have
That's
postpartum.
always the case. I
Yeah,
always tell that
postpartum
the
that's
kids
pretty
like,
rough.
not everyone.
Not
And I always
everyone.
says, when it comes to humans, it's never everyone.
It's never everyone.
But the majority.
Well, what I was going to say is I think the point is that, like, with no
that's really,
context, what we're going through and the pain and the difficulties and the, like, oh my God, the torture of it all when you're going through an existential crisis seems
And not everyone
almost,
likes having the baby.
yeah, like, well, true.
Just saying.
But the theory is that this is something that people go through. It's not normally something that is necessarily comfortable, but there is growth afterwards, in theory.
Is the
you
baby
are,
the
if you're
growth?
choosing to embark on it and really, like, embrace the process and go through it and find your answers as best you can. The other side is actually probably a lot more peaceful. I'm still finishing it up, but more peaceful and more grounding. And you feel like you have a lot more purpose, even if you don't necessarily know exactly what it is. Sometimes it's simply like something as simple as love.
I think I, coming through it, did it out of desperation. It wasn't. I needed to get out. It was affecting my life.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like
Coming
after you
out
went
of
through
it,
it, you
did
feel
I
as though
grow? I'm trying to think. I know I was relieved. And yeah, I suppose so. Spiritually, I probably did because we were both raised Catholic. And I left the church very young, and I can't say I was ever really largely spiritual, but that was probably, yeah, where I started to look at that. I read philosophy a bit more now, and yeah, so I guess so. Interesting. I never thought of that. That is an eye opener to me today,
you're going to have to
or
think about
insightful moment.
You're going to have to think
What?
about all the other things that were, because sometimes you don't realize how it affects you now. And
I feel
even
like
just
my
the way
life
that
is
you
the
handle things
same.
in life. Like maybe you don't stress out certain things anymore because, like, you kind of
I
went through the gamut of
I know. I was thinking, there's that word.
God damn it, Daniel, stop using that word. But yeah, gone through all the emotions and all the different scenarios and kind of came out on the other side.
Maybe. I feel like my life is still the same. I do. The only thing I can say is I am looking, but I saw the spiritualism, and actually, Mom always talks spiritualism, although sometimes she didn't make sense to me, but I just went, uh-huh.
It is
But
funny. Some of the things that she didn't make sense to me. I was like, oh yeah, that's nice, Mom. Okay, like have been popping up in
oh,
different weird random places. Now it could be just like, hey, Mom, giving a little wink, right? But
yeah.
the other part of me is like, God damn it, it makes sense to me now. Damn it, she
Oh,
was right.
it still's not making sense. She's not sending me messages, but
Don't
or she is, and I'm not listening.
I was
Which
gonna
could be the
say,
case.
Joy's like, no.
Yeah, some things. Anyway, I digress. But I will say, after her death, it's become more intensified. Yeah, and I'm finding my way in this new phase of life. I recognize maybe that's it. I recognize I'm in a new phase of life, and I can control it this time. Whereas I think the first part from the 20s till now, you just go with the flow. And you just like, all right, I guess I'm going this way. All right, I guess I'm going this way. And I mean, you have some crossroads and you have to make a decision, but still but now we're older, we're mature, we can look at the crossroads and make a more educational, I guess, or thoughtful decision making, or just sit there for a while and decide.
Do you feel like everything that's going on in the world right now? Because I mean, I don't want to get into politics. We've already kind of agreed that we're not going to, but
Mm-hmm.
with everything going on right now, and there's so much contention and a lot of fear and fear-based things that are being shot at us like over and over and over and over again, whether it be on, mass media or on social media. Do you feel like there are more and more people that are starting to have that kind of, oh shit, like what does it all mean? Or do you feel like people are just mixed up in the blender? Because that's how I see it. I feel like people are mixed up in a blender and like they just need to press stop before they're
It sounds
pureed.
very bloody. You watch Fargo, right, Dale?
No,
Put him in the
I
wood chipper.
I detest any kind of gore. So
Sorry. That's all I pictured when you said in a blender. I think people are selfish. And I think they're panicking about more of how am I going to be safe?
well,
I think they're panicking about security. I think they need.
but
I'm
but
thinking
if
of the
you
Five
think
of
about it on an
Pentacles.
existential crisis kind of level, if they're panicking about their survival and everything like that, right? Because I mean, I definitely put a lot of part of my values was being financial independent because of the fact that I had so many insecurities about money when I was younger, certainly when I was married. So now that's a big strong thing for me, but now I'm looking at it like it's just money. Like if there's anything I've learned about myself, I'm a strong woman that will find a way, and that to be too focused on what's going on the stock market where I think I have a couple $100 in the stock market. I took everything out a long time ago. So
Well,
like
any retirement fund too, like
yeah,
401ks. Your
yeah,
401k?
but I'm saying that no,
You
no,
don't have a 401k?
no. I mean, hey, what are you going to do? Because at this point, it's like this is life, right? So it's just, you got to just function. And so the way I see it is that, I am control. I am in control. But when I look at everything that's going on in the world, those are things I can't control. The only thing I can do is control what's going on in here and in here. So,
Well, so we had protests this past weekend. I don't know when you're posting this, but there was an April 5th protest. And a lot of people will argue the reason you protest is to show people you're not alone. And,
oh yeah,
and that don't let them keep doing this because then it will become the norm and we don't want it to become the norm, but if you don't speak out. So I just want to put that out there when you say people don't have control.
no,
you
to
have
be-
some control.
to be clear,
you can.
being able to protest and stuff like that, but I'm talking about daily, daily, daily. You know what I'm saying?
Daily. I have panic attacks, Danielle, so it's hard for me to respond to this. Every once in a while, I'll go to Gordon and say, "We gotta leave the country. We gotta leave the country. Oh my God!"
Yeah,
but
that's the thing.
I've been
I
talked
can't.
down.
Yeah,
He
I
usually
can't live
talks me
that
down.
way. I can't live that way. It
Right,
is.
right.
I literally will become paralyzed. So understanding, and I think this is something that's important for everybody. And I know
And
that
frankly, I don't think anywhere's saved.
yeah, no, and I
Leaving the
agree.
country is not the
And
answer.
I think that.
But existential crisis, I'm not sure if I think it's more.
I think it does
I think we
because-
discussed the difference between existential crisis and panic attack. I think that's more panic attack because you're also not just thinking of who you are as a person. You're also thinking of your family, your children.
Oh,
You're-
definitely.
but
When
so
you
I
have
don't think that's
invested
an
so
existential
much into,
crisis.
if you've invested so much into all of this, right? Because this is coming back to all about me, Joanne. Part of this is me peeling back
you
the
best.
onion of what I was taught and what is reality. Everything is a construct. Everything is a construct, like whether it be religion, school, all of that. Now, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm not saying that each thing doesn't have its own values, but so much of us have been taught that we're supposed to be fulfilling these roles, or we're supposed to be doing this. It,
You
who
gotta
makes
read
that
Anita
up?
Moorjani's.
Who
You
makes
gotta
that
read.
shit up, Joanne? And that's where I'm saying existential
I'll
crisis.
tell you why. You raised kids.
Yeah.
Did you not? One, you got to read Anita's book. She goes into that. And that's why she had her issues, is that people were telling her how to live her life. And I will also mention that in philosophy, some people do believe that everything in here is an illusion and we are living a life through illusion.
Well,
So
our
that
reality
is
is literally what's
philosophical.
going on in our head, as opposed to
That
everything else.
I see what you're saying in there. That makes sense too. But where were we going? Oh, what people say. Okay, you raise children, so you think, and things do change. Okay, you should go down this path, because this path you will have the most success. And I wish I went down this path. So you create this
Narrative.
construct or narrative to make them go down that path.
Right.
And I'm not saying, it's
But
a bad
here's-
thing. In some cases, it actually helped people. Mm-hmm. But I think that's who is making this up, is generations of people who said this is the way to do it.
But I will say that when it comes to now, I have one more left in school. It is really hard for me to have that conversation where it makes sense.
And when they come to you and you don't know, they're like, "Mom, what should I do?" And you say, "I don't know." Everything
it's also
doesn't make sense to me anymore. That's scary for them too.
Yeah, it's very fascinating when you have schools that are saying or whatever that, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is the way it's supposed to be taught. And then you have a child that learns differently.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm saying, and like, no matter what you say, but this is the way it's done. And this is what makes people that are successful in here. And he just needs to conform to that. But that is not how he's built.
Right.
Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, we are in so many ways when I was growing up, or I think mom and dad did our best. But that's an existential crisis when you suddenly realize that you're trying to conform to all of these things that people say are important, and they really aren't.
Because by that logic, I remember two very distinct moments in my life. I don't think they were existential, though. One, both of them from PBS. One was learning about the concentration camps. Yeah. I didn't know they existed until I saw it on. We were not taught that in school. Yeah. Two, women had to fight for their right to vote. I did not know this.
And considering when we were born,
I was stunned.
We didn't know. Yeah.
And I didn't learn that one until my 20s.
But for me, it was...
Nobody ever told me that. It was never taught in school.
Knowing that mom wasn't allowed to have a bank account or a mortgage or anything, and until a year after I was born.
Yeah.
And that she was fired from her first job because she was pregnant with our brother. They figured out that mom and dad were pregnant.
Yeah. I had still had some of that in high school. You know, a more recent one. Oh, I don't know if mom would. There's a part of me that's like, she's dead. I can say whatever I want.
We can always cut it out, Joanne.
Okay. So my mom had 11. My parents had 11 kids. Actually, 12 pregnancies, but 11 kids. The last one, she was in her 40s, and she wanted a tubal. She had to get permission from her husband.
Yeah.
That to me goes to show how patriarchal our society. I was 14 at the time. So we are still, this is still a patriarchal, it is not I don't know if there ever was a society where we were equals. Or I look at some of the pagan religions and it looks like we were at one time. And I actually went to this...
Maybe amongst the Amazons with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, there is a society out there that is matriarchal. I also want to point out the countries that had women as leaders did better during COVID. But also, where was I going with this?
I have no idea.
Well, it's.
Well, I again, it
Oh
goes
no, we
back
were
to
talking
what-
about mom. Oh right, I'm
but,
sorry.
But we
Sorry,
are
we're
talking about the concept and existential crisis, because I want to put it in this context. If you were to believe wholeheartedly that this is the way life is and this is your role in society,
Social
and this
security
is what you're
will
supposed to
be
doing.
there.
Right, and then suddenly it's
gone.
ripped away. You start to not just question that, like, but you're also
System.
questioning everything else. And I think that's a lot of what I've been going through in the past year.
Okay.
Is like really breaking down not just what's going on in the present, but what went on 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago when I was a little kid. Like all the things that I was told that was this is what you're good
Identity.
at, Danielle. This is what you're good at. This is what you do. This is who you are. This is how you dress. This is how you this is, and realize like, no, that none of that was me.
Oh, I was just thinking of mom. Suffer for beauty.
Suffer for beauty.
I'm not suffering for anyone! Sorry.
And when you think about it, like
I was born a rebel, man.
I wish I was. I wish I was. I was a good girl.
There's
I followed what I was
positivity
told
with
to
it.
do.
Yeah, you really got to read that book.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well,
You don't
I
have to-
think we should conclude this, Joanne.
Okay, you're right.
We've
I'm sorry.
ended our therapy session when it comes to. We talked quite frankly. So join us next week as we dive into some other thing that has nothing to do with existential crisis. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. But please subscribe. Share us with your friends. And
If you have ideas for us,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we always find something to talk about. But if you have ideas, please.
yeah, because
comment.
like worst case scenario, we'll just like add a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. We'll just talk about anything. Give us ideas though. It helps. Give us a
talk.
topic. A topic. I actually was thinking about talking about exercise and whatnot, or even just clean eating, like as in like, because I made a victory garden. And I would like to talk about the pros and cons of that, because like it's a challenge, Joanne. But we won't get into it. Okay,
I'd be
thanks,
happy to
guys.
do that. All right, bye.
Bye. Hold on.
I was about to hang up.
No, don't hang up. Don't hang up. Bye.